Movie buff from early childhood. I saw my first movie when I was like 6 years old. It was King Kong.
It's not her fault. It's the period.
Yeah.
It's upsetting to watch.
Tell you
Well, it shouldn't be that way because somebody did make money.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you need to know about Morgan Freeman, it is how much he hates being saddled with race-based political viewpoints just because of his skin color. But just 2 weeks ago, The View invited him on the panel, only to do great injustice to his presence on the show in every way possible. First by only having him on for the mere 5 minutes, and then trying to steer the conversation to political waters while talking about his new documentary. Let's just watch and you'll...
Morgan Freeman's exit from The View wasn't just about what he said. It was about what they desperately didn't want him to say. And let's just say, the show's response made it painfully clear where they really stand. What went down wasn't just a clash of opinions. It was a textbook case of gaslighting and damage control, with Freeman caught right in the middle of their media spin machine. The moment Freeman dared to challenge the carefully curated narrative, the hosts scrambled like they had just been hit with an unexpected plot twist. His words weren't just thought-provoking, they were a direct challenge to The View's polished, surface-level approach to tough conversations. The show has spent years crafting an image of inclusivity and open discussion, but Freeman's blunt honesty cracked that facade wide open. And they were not having it. As soon as the cameras stopped rolling, the behind-the-scenes panic set in. Producers rushed into full-blown crisis mode, murmuring about reframing the conversation and how things had veered off course. On air, the hosts awkwardly attempted to regain control, throwing out generic lines about respecting different perspectives. But their discomfort was obvious, and the audience wasn't fooled for a second. Social media exploded, calling out the show for its blatant attempts to stifle Freeman's message. Longtime viewers were quick to remind everyone that this wasn't the first time The View had shut down a guest for straying from their pre-approved script. Viral clips of past heated debates resurfaced, highlighting a pattern of silencing dissenting voices. But this time, it hit differently. Because silencing Morgan Freeman? That was a bold move, and it backfired spectacularly. Freeman, however, didn't have to say a word. The internet did the talking for him. Meanwhile, The View put out a generic statement about their commitment to meaningful dialogue, a statement that only fueled the backlash. Critics ripped into the show's hypocrisy, exposing how their version of a conversation only works when guests stick to their script. Even former staffers came forward, spilling secrets about how producers strategically shape discussions to create controlled drama without ever letting things get too real. This time, though, reality broke through. And The View? Well, they were left scrambling to clean up the mess.
They just couldn't help themselves and used it as an opportunity to make it about race. They thought they were going to be able to bait him in, but Morgan Freeman isn't interested in talking about race or entertaining race baiters. The ladies of the Spew should have done their research before inviting him on the show.
How are we going to get rid of...
Should have done your research. They should have done their research on a lot of people they brought on the show. They just get straight shut down, y'all. Yeah, we don't even know how this show is still on the air. We say a prayer for anybody watching it, man, in 2024. Oh boy.
Racism and stop talking about it.
Oh man, here it is right here. Let me go back so y'all can hear this, man. It's very, very important.
An anonymous insider later revealed even more, confirming what was already clear. Morgan Freeman had pulled back the curtain, exposing The View for what it really was. And the truth? They simply couldn't handle it. Freeman's fans wasted no time rallying behind him, sharing clips from the interview and breaking down every word to show how effortlessly he revealed the performative nature of so-called progressive platforms. Morgan Freeman said what needed to be said, and they weren't ready for it, one viral tweet declared. Meanwhile, social media had a field day turning the hosts' stunned reactions into memes, some even joking that they looked desperate for a commercial break. But the most damning criticism came from viewers who pointed out the glaring contradiction. The View claims to represent a range of perspectives, yet they cut off one of Hollywood's most respected voices the moment he challenged their narrative. If Morgan Freeman can't even finish his thoughts without being dismissed, what does that say about their commitment to real dialogue? One widely shared op-ed questioned, as the backlash grew, calls for The View to issue an apology became impossible to ignore. Activists, historians, and everyday viewers demanded not only accountability for Freeman's treatment, but also a reckoning with the show's long history of controlling conversations and dodging hard truths. But instead of addressing the controversy head-on, the hosts tried to act like nothing happened. The internet, however, wasn't letting it slide. Hashtags like #JAR, Cancel the View, and Let Morgan Speak dominated social media, with many pushing for a complete overhaul of the show's format. Freeman, meanwhile, didn't engage in the noise. He didn't need to. His silence alone was more powerful than their damage control, forcing everyone to reflect on why platforms like The View prioritize appearance over authenticity. The fallout from the interview ignited a broader conversation about how mainstream media often suppresses inconvenient truths under the guise of inclusivity. But this wasn't just a fleeting scandal. It became a cultural shift. Freeman's words rippled far beyond Hollywood and social media. Advocacy groups used the moment to amplify their push for better representation and the inclusion of historically overlooked narratives in entertainment and education. Universities even began organizing discussions and workshops inspired by Freeman's critique. When the dust settled, The View wasn't just exposed, it was completely unmasked. And Freeman? He walked away untarnished, his influence only growing stronger. Because in the end, no amount of spin can outlast the truth.
Inviting him on the show.
Maybe how are we going to get rid of racism and stop talking about it? I'm going to stop calling you a white man. Yep. And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
I'd love to know what you guys thought of this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed it,
And that we just come together and love each other, man. We don't see color. We all bleed the same, man. And I'm wishing not only the best in your life, but your family's life, your kids' kids, the grandkids, future, the next generation, man. I love you guys, man. Like I say, we living in some dark times. We have been declining at a very, very fast rate, man. We're divided. I encourage you to spread the love, man, to one another. I love y'all, man. God bless all you and your families. I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.
As conversations deepened, themes of uncovering hidden histories and media's influence on identity took center stage. Meanwhile, Hollywood found itself under renewed scrutiny, forced to reckon with its own role in shaping and often distorting narratives. While some major studios responded with vague promises about diversifying their storytelling, independent filmmakers took bolder steps. Several production houses announced upcoming documentaries and dramas dedicated to highlighting the overlooked contributions of Black soldiers, scientists, and trailblazers throughout history. Despite the controversy, The View's producers scrambled to salvage their reputation. Their initial statement did little to quell the outrage, and as criticism continued to mount, they made a surprising move: an open invitation for Freeman to return for an extended segment, claiming they wanted to give his perspective the platform it deserved. But whether Freeman would accept remained a mystery. In classic fashion, he let his silence speak for itself, leaving the world to sit with the truths he had already laid bare. The public, however, refused to let the issue fade. The hashtags continued trending, and so did demands for deeper, systemic change. Freeman's words reignited widespread conversations about media accountability, with podcasts and panel discussions dissecting the larger implications of the incident. Activists raised pressing questions. Why do mainstream platforms still struggle to engage with difficult but necessary discussions on race, representation, and systemic inequality? Why is it so hard to acknowledge uncomfortable truths? Yet, far from silencing the message, the controversy only amplified it. Freeman's words took on a life of their own, sparking dialogue across generations. Parents shared his insights with their children. Educators wove his message into lesson plans. Even church leaders used his remarks as a call to engage with history honestly and fearlessly. What began as a single interview had transformed into something much larger, a cultural moment demanding reflection, accountability, and most importantly, action.
I have so many girlfriends who are highly accomplished, highly educated, great people, and just wonderful women. And the dating pool is absolutely brutal for them.
What are these men looking for?
It is entirely unclear to me that it's like, why are their men not jumping to want to date them? So,
well, Alicia, those are not bizarre and unrealistic expectations, because reality is that ultimately men want to build a family, okay? And most men don't want to be with an accomplished and educated woman because those women are entitled, demanding, and a pain to deal with. Even different studies will tell you that that's the case. So most of your accomplished and educated friends are very likely to end up with a cat instead of a family, just like Whoopi.
Freeman's call to share all stories struck a powerful chord, especially in communities that had long been overlooked or misrepresented. His supporters were quick to defend his legacy, reminding critics that his dedication to truth and justice had spanned decades. Morgan Freeman isn't just an actor. He's a historian, a storyteller, and a truth teller, one viral blog post declared. We need more voices like his, willing to hold up a mirror to society, even when the reflection is uncomfortable. In the weeks that followed, the conversation didn't die down. It intensified. Media outlets continued dissecting the moment, questioning whether Freeman's words signaled a shift in how the industry approaches representation. Meanwhile, prominent Hollywood figures came forward with their own stories of being typecast, sidelined, or denied opportunities based on race or outdated stereotypes. But this discussion wasn't just about Hollywood. It was about everyone taking a closer look at the narratives they accept and perpetuate. For Freeman, this was never about personal validation or controversy. As he had stated during the interview, "It's not about me being right. It's about us figuring out how to fix it." His words didn't just spark a reaction. They stayed with people, pushing them to confront uncomfortable but necessary truths about history, representation, and the power of storytelling. What started as a tense exchange on The View transformed into something far bigger, a cultural reckoning. Freeman didn't just start a conversation, he ignited a movement. Through his steady resolve and unwavering belief in truth, he reminded the world that real change doesn't come from comfort, but from facing the realities we often try to ignore. At the end of the day, Freeman's legacy wasn't defined by the backlash or the applause. It was defined by the undeniable force of truth, and if that truth made some people uncomfortable, then maybe it was long overdue. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.